Hello guys, once again it's Matt, and today we have another video. Thank you all the members, all the patrons. Make sure to subscribe and let's get into it, guys. We are trying to hit 50,000 subscribers, so let's go. Subscribe to help out the channel. So yes, the dev team responses to the questions from YouTube and community, the YouTube community and content creators. So basically, lately, after the economy kind of thing that happened, they actually in the Discord for the content creators, they actually made a post for suggestions and stuff that every content creator can put some questions there and bugs and whatever they wanted to actually make the game better, right? And since we have kind of a more streamlined connection to them, it is easier for them to actually talk to us, right? So they are actually going to do this Q&A with us. Then they're going to do this with the players as well, or something along those lines as well, right? So first of all, just because it's like quicker, they try to reach out for us, right? So let's go. So we're going to basically read most of them and talk a little bit about it just to talk to you, okay? So yeah, because it's too much to actually memorize, you see. So the video will be kind of long. Don't mind me, but let's get into it because this is very important due to the latest things happening. So let's go. So the question, we are concerned about the comparatively low efficiency of the post-penetration effect of low-caliber hit rounds, for example, in such vehicles are U-251 and other vehicles like this that have smaller hits. They said that they are planning to rework certain aspects of the shaped charge jets for lower caliber rounds. These rounds do have a very narrow post-penetration jet, and there are a lot of real-world examples of instances where lightly armored vehicles remained mobile in even fighting conditions after taking a hit from heat. Because of this, we don't plan on making these particular munitions overly powerful, but in regards to destroying modules and incapacitating crew in the path of the jet, we are planning some changes that will make their damage more consistent. So yes, I always remember this type of heat round. I always remember on the Challenger, I don't know if it was the 1 or 2, I think it was a Challenger 1, that got hit by an RPG from the front on the lower glacis and basically just like injured a lot the driver, but he managed to actually drive the tank around. So it penetrated and it basically didn't do anything inside the tank beyond heavily injuring the driver, right? So I think he even survived after that. He like lost a leg or something. It was really like, oh my god. But still, you can see that these hit rounds, they do have a low efficiency in general in real life as well. So there is a thing that, I mean, it's just, you know, war is like that, and smaller hit rounds will do less damage than bigger ones. That's pretty much it. But if they're going to do a little bit more, to be a little bit more consistent is always nice, right? Light vehicles might be very die-hard, being able to absorb 3-4 rounds because fuses are unable to arm. This is a big problem since I don't know how much time now. So yeah, this is a big topic for players, yes, and a common talking point inside our team as well. There are several possibilities we are considering, but they will take some time to develop. We are keenly aware of this issue, though, and we will introduce a solution if and when we can. So they are looking into it. Yeah, there are some weird things that happens when you fire like an APC-BC, for example, and it's a very lightly armored target. Sometimes the round just goes through the target and it doesn't detonate, and then, yeah, or an AP-HE more likely, right, or something like that. It is possible to make 3D decorations physical so they can detach from vehicles when hit. They say it's a great idea. They are looking into it. I mean, they actually said that they will look into it in the sense of how complicated this would be to implement. And if it is indeed possible, we will aim to make them destructible and prone to catch on fire as well, which is a small thing, but very cool. Is it possible to refine the reloading mechanisms when the loader is knocked out during a gun misfire? Then reload cycle starts again. Kind of weird English here, but they say that it's kind of weird that, for example, I don't know, IS-2, for example, that has a two-stage loading system. The first, the actual ammunition, and then the charge, right? There's no reason to start the reloading process all over again if for example, the first part of the reloading, the actual shell of the reloading part is actually already in the barrel, right? So they are looking into something that would, make more sense of just, for example, if it's already 80% the reload process, the shell is already in the chamber. The new reloader just needs to close the breach or something like that. Or in two-stage reloading mechanism, it will be like 50% that it needs to reload. So basically, depending on where the reload was, it will have to reload all over again or not. So then it would be like 20% or 50%, depending on the type of reloading mechanism. They basically say this, so that would be very, very cool. And they are looking into it, that it couldn't be a change in the future. So yeah, you're going to try to do that. Do you plan to increase the mobility of heavy tanks and slow SPGs in RB mode, like it is in the arcade? No, this one isn't in our plans. RB is where vehicles should behave as authentically as possible. Low mobility is just a real-world drawback these kinds of vehicles have. Yeah, that's just okay. Do you like the idea of giving free backups when purchasing top-tier premium vehicles? Free backups? We do. We will consider including an initial amount of free backups with high-tier premiums in the future to incentivize players to stay in battle. Yeah, that makes sense, especially for ground battles, because if you buy, for example, a Leopard 2A4, a very high-tier premium for Germany, you only have that. For example, I don't have very high tiers on that. I only have that premium. So I basically have to use my own backups because it's the only way, So yeah, there are still turret desync bugs. It's a complicated issue to solve, but an important one. We're currently working on a fix. I mean, these syncs and stuff like that, it's problematic because it's server problems. I doubt that it will ever be 100% solved. But yeah. Is it possible to get rid of the desyncs of server and client? Yeah, that's what I said. I mean, it's complicated to do that. Unfortunately, in any network model, including ours, the synchronization between the server and the client is sadly inevitable. Jesus Christ, my English today. This is a con for sure. The pro, however, is that these desync actually usually do not affect the gameplay for all players, which is important. The War Thunder networking model was chosen to be the most cheater-proof in contrast to lag compensation models like in CS, and more important, it allows us to implement relatively realistic physical iterations. The shortcoming of our model is that there is a possibility of a minor and more rarely desyncs, as all clients see the possible presence of other players instead of the recording of the past. The lower of a player ping, the less often the syncs happens. Yeah, makes sense, but they will still happen anyway. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's basically impossible to remove 100% of desync or any type of problem, because it's just how servers work. So it depends on the ping, basically, right? And for example, here we are in Brazil. If I'm going to play at a European server, for example, I get 200 plus ping. If I'm going to play on the US server, I get like 100 ping. So some players will always have that ping, and then there will always be players that are fighting players that have a higher ping as well. So it kind of, it will always be there some form of desync. Any chance to fix the bugged spotting when vehicles are invisible for no reason? This issue comes from the server anti-cheat algorithms. We do our best to sync them with the game render, but in a dynamic environment with huge open spaces and various client pings, it's unfortunately impossible to maintain a perfect synchronization. Yeah, it's a problem with the anti-cheat, basically. You cannot have a perfect system because we need anti-cheat in the game, right? So yeah. The damage by excessive pressure needs more calibration, and also damage of high caliber shells of ground vehicles needs to be increased. For improvements like these, we need some more precise examples, as there is a lot of factors involved here. Often issues in these areas are not reliably reproducible, so we'd appreciated any replays of recordings of these issues we found, so we can investigate them more effectively. It's easy to do this in the Hangar. Yeah, I think it's, yeah, I mean, nothing else to say. Please fix the bug that doesn't allow you to turn over the tank if it's turned upside down and lies on top of the turret. Oh yes, it's a very rare but annoying occurrence. We will look into a fix. Yeah, nothing to say. Do you have any plans to create a tutorial or mechanism or mechanics of top-tier vehicles such as anti-air missile systems, drones, etc., with an option to customize controls for such mechanics? Yes, we do. We are planning various tutorials. Yeah, I mean, we need tutorials. For me, for example, in the part of flying high-tier aircraft, I mean, we need how to launch missiles, what chaff is, what flare is, you know, stuff like that. These explanations like this, that even though yes, it's good because eventually they come to content creators to actually look for these new players, you know, but still, like, come on, we need more tutorials to help with new players, right? Due to the difference in the vehicle generations, there are big problems on rank 5, particularly on 7, 8BR, where are tanks with APFSDS and stabilizers and without them. Indeed, the technology jump in this BR is problematic, abrupt. We will pay special attention to this area in particular and come up with solutions. I mean, this is just obvious, right? The BR compression is a problem the same way as in like a 9.3 to like a 10.3 kind of BR range. It's the same in air, right? So it's more due to a problem of BR compression than anything else, if I'm not mistaken, right? So yeah. The Killer Hunter feature is toxic and requires 2-3 seconds delay to make it possible for the commander to take over or react somehow. A delay here would make sense. We'll consider this. Yeah, okay. The Killer Hunter feature. I forgot about what is this, but yeah. Currently, graphics can noticeably influence player's skill. For example, an enemy tank can invisible in deep shadow, can be almost invisible in deep shadow until it fires. Locations are full of decorative elements that overload players' attentions. Yeah, that's true. Is it possible to brighten up the shadows and lose some greenery and decorations on the locations? It's a tough question that requires more complex solutions. Okay. The thing is, we cannot just make the game where pro players have their own minimalistic graphic modes, while more casual players have a different one, since that's just not fair. I mean, now the game graphically, so it's purely structured around competitive gaming, also isn't an option. Yeah, it would be very boring to see that. Our game has and always will be oriented towards a wide spectrum of players with different tastes and preferences. So on this one, we'll have to take a look at more specific elements that could be improved. The thing is that, I mean, yes, it's problematic, but like removing stuff from the maps and stuff, I mean, this is even a real life thing, right? I don't know. I mean, shadows are very dark sometimes in real life. I think it's very bright sometimes even in the game, right? So it's just a matter of, like, sometimes you will get killed, I think, out of nowhere, and that's just how real life is, kind of. But I don't know. I don't have a fully, opinion on it. Upgrading helicopters to PvE is too long and hard, and their stock versions are often almost unplayable in the other modes. We are currently trying to figure out what to do with the mode. We'll announce our decisions at a later time. Yeah, I think the PvE mode needs to be reevaluated for helicopters. It is kind of a boring mode as well. I mean, you can have fun just playing around, kind of relaxing, but there's no, like, challenge to it, and it's kind of boring, in my opinion. I don't know. Remove volumetric damage. It makes certain tanks too well defended to track fenders and side skirts absorb hits. Yeah, a lot of people are complaining about this. Volumetric damage brings many tanks closer to their correct level of protection. Tigers and Panthers, for example. And this can't be achieved without maintaining our current realistic armor model. I kind of agree with it. However, as with every complex system, it's hard to be perfect across the board, right? We need your reports here. You can send us your replays and record anomalies um, in the hanger. In all cases where volumetric and every other damage system isn't working correctly, we'll fix it, or at least we'll do our best to. We appreciate that the volumetric was a big adjustment to tank battles, as it wasn't present from the start of the game and does require some adaptation. Yes, of course, but we believe this more realistic armor model adds to War Thunder, so we will work hard on improving as much as possible. I agree with it. I mean, yes, it can have some bugs, and stuff, but it is more realistic overall, you know. So if it's more realistic, it's better. Yes, bugs happen, guys. So try to report them so they can get fixed. I mean, I know, but there's a lot of conspiracy theories right now. It's complicated. People will get mad just for me saying this, but yeah, whatever. Decrease the numbers of all convoys, AAAs, and ECs, or give them less accuracy. Yeah, they are very OP sometimes. We fixed this one already in production. I don't know, sometimes there are some Gepards there that completely in the first shot they got you. So, I don't know, but still. For air, seeing float planes respawns, instead of spawning all the way back of the map, taking 25 minutes to get to the battle, have it be able to spawn at any airfield or spawn on the fleet with your float planes, suggesting when spawning on any airfield, of course, you spawn in the air, and if you spawn in your fleet, you have to spawn in the water next to your carrier. Yeah, that makes sense. We will think about this one. The current system has chosen based on player requests. However, there are not many float planes, and they're almost universally slow, so it probably won't negatively impact immersion too much if they spawn in an air closer to the action. Yeah, it makes sense. Jesus, it's a lot of things, guys. This video will take, like, I don't know how much time. I would like to see if War Thunder Naval Arcade could be made a bit more arcadey to attract more people to the mode, yeah? Mainly by making range fighting faster, so it might be more fun to play. Maybe also add what ammo to shoot at which target, so people have more of an idea when to use AP, HE, or SAP. We agree here. We will try to do something to make the mode more approachable, and we would like start with ranging fighting. Yeah, I mean, it's always nice to see this type of thing because it makes people play more of the game, right? The attack drones should be removed. They don't bring anything new to the table. Helicopters and planes do the same, except that they are much harder to hit or kill. Yeah, they are kind of harder. With that, there aren't really counters against them except high-tier AA systems. We spend a lot of time gathering examples, analyzing feedbacks regarding drones. We're going to move them up to a higher BR where they can be more easily countered by advanced AA systems. Yeah, that's cool. Might fix it. Suggesting to stop helicopters and other aircraft firing their weapons after they are considered dead by the game, as it's not enjoyable to die a player that you're already beaten. In reality, yeah, that's problematic, man. This is really problematic. It's nothing like in reality, right? In reality, destroying an aircraft in terms of inflicting damage that makes the aircraft uncontrollable doesn't make it harmless. We do like this last chance aspect to the gameplay. There is a beast deep inside you will not die and will fight back. Oh my god. It's a system that goes both ways. Firstly, it is realistically possible, and it might make players' day to get a kill with a doomed aircraft. However, we do see the issues it brings, especially with misleading kill messages. We need to do a bit more thinking on this one. I mean, it's problematic. Both the ways that you go here, it's kind of bad. For example, the Ka-52. The aircraft itself is made to actually be able to lose the tail and be able to actually still fly. But in game, you lose the aircraft. It's considered dead. So you have like 15 seconds to try to do something while you are tailless, right? So, I mean, like, it's already going to die. It's already dead. So, yeah, it's problematic because if you, like, it really killed the helicopter in that sense, it kind of defeats the purpose that he has in real life of using the double. One of the reasons that he uses the double wings, right? Double rotators. So I don't know. It's kind of problematic, but I understand that people really dislike that as well, right? So yeah, suggestions to allow phasing through teammates at the start of the match to prevent blocking in the same way are realistic as after just taking off. I don't know. We can't see a way to do this one for ground battles. Players inevitably will exploit it when spawning player will deliberately try to drive through each other at the end the cooldown while taking the same space, which will cause a lot of issues, unfortunately. Yeah, obviously because it will make it so that actually the physical models are out of nowhere introduced it while you are inside each other. So problematic, right? Others. So add the ability to report racist, homophobes, and similar to customer support. A good idea. We'll add an easier way to report such instances. Each game report already has chat log attached. Creating an automatic screenshot or something along those lines, though, is much harder and can introduce difficulties. We'll try to show the chat log to the user submitting a report to streamline the process. I mean, yeah, nothing to say here. Matchmaking. Yeah, this is where I think it's the main problem, right? Please add more maps to top tier RB. Yes, please do this. Please, Gaijin, please. Even smaller maps. Some maps are very rare. Currently, we have 10 maps at this BR. I mean, 10 maps is not enough in my opinion. Certain maps will appear more rarely if players have them banned. Of course, yeah. We will aim to add more maps at this rating. For smaller maps, though, players often request less of these for top tier. Yeah. Yeah, it's... Please don't add smaller maps. No smaller maps. Smaller maps suck in top tier. I mean, I don't want to just spawn and just fire an R27ER because we are already 30 kilometers from each other. No, we need bigger maps and better ways to deal with bigger maps. That's the main problem. But yeah, for me, the big problem is the size of the maps on the RB. It happens that prop lanes are thrown on a simulation map. Please remove larger maps from RB on low and medium tiers. I mean, I don't know, because I don't play too much of props, but yeah, sometimes it feels like that. Big max, complicated, right? For me, the big problem, agreed. Big maps can become boring sometimes when populated with slower aircraft with a lot of downtime between engagements. When we implement a way of displaying which maps appear on which BRs, see below, we will adjust the appearance of large maps at lower tiers. Regarding smaller maps for top tiers though, see the request above. We are trying to not add smaller maps to faster jets, and we will try to introduce less instances of these. However, currently many players still ask for them because they normally don't know how to use BVR, to be honest, in my opinion. I only play kind of top tier, right? Or higher tiers. And it is completely boring and it's not fun, the smaller maps for jets, top tier jets, you know, it really destroys the gameplay. I don't care that people don't like BVR or anything like that. You still can not do BVR, if you will, in larger maps, but you cannot force everybody to do just a massive furballs and you cannot even use your missiles properly. And the match is over in 3 minutes just because you want smaller maps for top tiers. I mean, it's just completely no. It's, for my opinion, it just destroys the game. It makes the game. I mean, if it was only smaller maps, I would literally stop playing the game because it's the most boring thing ever for top tier. But obviously, for props, we need maybe smaller maps. You know, I don't know. I'm not gonna give too much of an opinion on this for that just because of it, but still. I'd like you to increase the chances of going into a battle on a vehicle of maximum available for this BR. I once performed an experiment and found out that I got into battles using highest BR vehicles only in, for sure, overcoming hardship is valuable. So basically they are asking that normally you're just fighting up tiers, right? And they say that normally this doesn't happen fully up tiers, right? Because we have a 4-player like limit of being the top BR if you are a lower BR like this. So I don't know, nothing too crazy there. Add an unlimited amount of bans and 5 bans. The problem with this one is that we already have situations with current ban system where some maps are rarely ever played, so remove the map. Adding additional bans, 5 for sure, will lead to situations where all available maps are banned from the current queue, meaning matches won't be able to start at all, or only after significant waiting times. That's, I kind of agree with it. I mean, it would be like fun to have more bans, but it would break the matchmaking basically. So yeah, we add some way to vote for map preferences. This is something we want to think about more. We are willing to have some kind of voting system in place, but at the same time, it's important for players to have a variety of maps too, especially as certain vehicles are inevitably more suitable for certain styles of maps. Yeah, I mean, even if like there are a majority of players that want a specific type of map, they need to add variety because, I mean, do you want to just play the same type of map or the same map every single batch? I mean, we don't need a situation of a metro in Battlefield, right? So yeah, add BR limitations for each map and show it to the players. Good idea. Showing the BR range for a map in the map references window would be very useful. We'll try to implement. Yeah, this is very important actually for you to actually click in the ones that you really want, right? My biggest and worst problem in War Thunder is the maps in ground RB. Is that I don't want to play a small map in top tiers like Berlin, Finland, Cargo. Yeah, kind of agree. We also don't like all of the maps in high ranks as well. Although players' opinion differs, many players like Finland or Berlin at high ranks, but at the same time, many also don't. But also, suggested above, we introduced a way of show the BR limitations of for a map. The enjoyment a map brings is often very subjective. But in instances where a particular map is noticeably widely disliked, we will pay extra attention to it. I think it's a problematic thing because a lot of players like city maps for high tier ranks, which I really don't like, for example, in my opinion. And I know a lot of people that don't like as well. So it's very subjective, as they say. So yeah. Mission and locations, this is the last part of it. So let's try to just go over very quick because the video is already too long. In Tank RB, we often get battle mode with points already captured and that demotivates the player from moving. I think this mode should go. Okay, these scenarios can foster a more sedentary style of gameplay. Will probably reduce the chances of these maps appearing in rotation and likely remove them, some of them. Yeah, okay. I like to developers to manage the maps in a way so that modern vehicles won't appear in World War II locations. Yeah, we partially agree on Berlin and Rhine too. Yeah, we will try to remove most obvious elements from the maps that specifically relate to a certain time frame to make them more universal. And we'll think about introducing modern versions of Berlin too that could be interesting. Yeah, that would be very cool. A lot cooler than what we have right now. Do you plan to exclude night missions from rotation in case the players doesn't have night visions and thermal sight modules? Or maybe introduce an option to disable those missions? We have decided to make night battles optionally available. We'll announce exactly how this will be implemented a bit later. Interesting. I wish they actually added night battles for air in higher tiers. It would be cool to see that. Or not like exactly night, but more dark missions. It would be cool. Collision models of various obstacles, garbage, and other things should be either removed, replaced, or reworked. We are working on it. Collision, even small objects can be jarring sometimes in certain circumstances. Any examples? With screenshots. What is this? Yeah, it's just some reports. With screenshots and descriptions will really help us improve the area as quickly as possible. Yeah. It will be great to increase the duration of session creation to increase the number of players in a battle and make them more intense. I think that waiting for 20 more seconds in a hangar and not ending up in a 8v8 on a large map is worth it. You think about this one. Unfortunately, there is no universal solution regarding a bracket of QE time that apply to every situation, but some additional matchmaking options could be improved. Yeah. Are there any plans to additional rewards up? Yeah. Doesn't matter too much. European province. The city part is done. I mean, I'm not gonna talk too much about this. You can pause it to take a look. The video is already too long. They're talking about specific maps over here. I will leave this in the description. You can check it out. There's many problems with maps that they are talking about. Then they say, we'd like to thank you all of our players and creators who've submitted comments and suggestions for the development of the game. In this text, we've responded to the feedback we managed to sort and take into account. We appreciate everything we've sent at us, even if it hasn't directly appeared in this text. We'd also like to remind you that this is only the beginning, and we have a lot of work ahead of us. We plan on continuing to promptly share our upcoming plans with all of you, along the regularly answering your questions. I think this is the main problem that Gaijin actually doesn't think about it. I mean, it's not often enough that we have Q&As. It's not often enough they actually ask for us stuff. Yeah, of course, you can always report stuff, but Q&As, you can actually show everything to us and do more videos. Remember when they did videos talking specifically with it? I mean, do this once 3 months or something like that, or once every update or something along those lines. It would make a lot of difference, I think. And sometimes it takes a year for them to actually do this. So I appreciate the effort of Gaijin to actually try to understand the problems of the game. They didn't responded any major concerns over here. I think the major thing for me personally is that they are not going to do smaller maps for top tier. I think that's just out of the question. I mean, as I said, if they do that and they introduce smaller maps again, I would just basically stop playing the game at all, because there's no reason to play the game if we are playing with an F-14 fighting at 20-kilometer range from each other. It's just not fun at all. It's really boring. So hopefully people stop asking for that and understand that the maps that are smaller right now are the minimum amount that we need for a proper gameplay for those BRs. The match will literally be 2 or 3 minutes longer. It's not that much time just climbing and flying, so people need to chill a little bit as well with that. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed. Make sure to subscribe. A very long video. I'm sorry about that, but I wanted to cover the majority of the things. Leave it in the comments what are your opinions on it, and I see you guys on the next one. Bye guys, see ya.